How are you doing this fine evening? I'm doing well, and I hope you're doing well as well. Today we're going to look at the Web Animations API, and we've done that last week as well. And I did that within Webstudio, but this time around I want to try and code it myself instead of relying on an interface that's make it easy and available for you to do this. And yeah, I'm very happy to take a look at that one. I'm still setting up a little bit, so could be that things needs to be done. Like for instance, the chat. Let's see if we can get that up and running, because I did have some issues the last time around, and that's what all the stuff is about, right? Let's see. Let's open the chat right there. Looks like it's working right now, and if I send a message, I hope that sometime around it also shows in my application, and else it is what it is. We'll see. But yeah, today we're going to look at the Webstudio API. Now, I love to create animations. I love to make them happen, and since the release of the CSS animations, I always wanted to dive in a little bit more than I've done previously into the Web Animation API. So let's check it out. For those, by the way, who are new here, that's what we love to do on this channel. We like to explore the boundaries of what web can do, but also the page builders and all the new stuff actually that's happening right now, because there's a lot of things happening, and it's just awesome. And not even speaking about the AI revolution that's going on right now. I want to do some experiments with that as well, but I don't know when we'll do it. Maybe now is a good time, because you can test out bold.new for a limited time for free during their hackathon, and then hopefully make something awesome so that they can place that somewhere as well. So yeah, let's see. Let's share my screen. Here we have a WordPress dashboard. I want to try how to create animations with Edge, and using the Edge page builder instead of using CodePen or whatever. I've used that in the past, but I want to try out. Oh, look at that, it's working now. So the last time around, I tried to add animations within the section itself, and that it looks like that didn't work. And what did work was adding the keyframe animations inside of the global CSS options. So here we have the global CSS, and if we put the keyframes in there, it looks like it's working. So this feels a little bit awkward that you have the animations somewhere else and not with your component itself, because the advantage of having it with your component is that when you import your component, it then uses the API key instead of it using it directly. Let's see if we can. I see what's going on. It looks like I haven't turned on my social stream kind of application. Yeah, it's turned off. So let me turn that on, and then everything should be fine and working. And let's refresh this one, and let's see if the chat now works. Hi. Yeah, it looks like it's working, because the advantage when this is enabled, I can do this. And now you see it popping up right there. And it says Restreamio, that's the application that I'm using, but then you know it's me, right? At least that's what I hope. Can we change the name of it during the... what does matter? It doesn't matter at all, actually, right? But yeah, looking into animations, Web Animations API. So here we have a simple effect. What we did is create a hero title with the color blue, and then have the view timeline moving on the subject reveal. I don't know if we're going to use this or use something different. And then the animation timeline is the subject reveal. So those are connected in one way or another. I guess this is from the view, and when the subject is revealed, from the timeline the animation starts, as we can see, right? All right, the subject reveal, I guess in this case, is when the heading is in the viewport, and then when it's blocked, so top and bottom, then it shows the animation. And in this case, the animation name is appear, and it's correct for our keyframes as well, because here we have appear, and then it goes from 0 opacity and a normal size to 1 opacity and 1 its size. So the size and opacity it need to have, and it needs to animation fill mode. So this makes sure that it works when you scroll up and down, if I remember correctly. And then you have the animation duration. This is for Firefox needed. So that's how this animation works. So last time around, I wanted to create the Webstudio animation we created right there, but then ourselves. So let's head back to Webstudio, and I believe it was this one. Here we have a nice scroll section, and if we scroll down, we see that the animation is happening, and I thought it was looking very cool, very awesome, that on scroll the text reveals, "Hey there, little brother, how are you doing? This fine evening, lovely to see you here." Let's see, can we do something like this, and then this, and then them side by side, and then close that one, then I can see a little bit more, so that's nice. Yeah, I'm good too. Very relaxed and very excited to show this animation actually that will be happening today, that I hopefully get done, because this just looks awesome. Look at that, the reveal animation. All right, let's get back into, so here we have the section. Here we started off with adding these ones. We can remove that one. We can remove this one as well, because this is the first one. We don't want any animations actually happening right here. So we'll select the section, add a heading. One way or another, sometimes this thing stays fixed in place, which is not that awesome actually. Animations part two. Yeah, I hope so. I hope that it will be cool stuff. Oh, so we type in scroll, and then for our section, I want this to be place content in the center. And of course the display needs to be grid, and then it's nice in the center. And if we scroll down, we get our next section, which is also in the center. So we can remove the text. I want to animate the heading again. So let's grab our text that we have here real quick, so that we have some text to work with. It says an H1 and it needs to be an H2. So let's also change that real quick. It's a shame that it doesn't change the closing tag as well. So let's see. Web animation timeline. API. Oh, I'm so very happy to explore this finally. You couldn't imagine how many times I wanted to do this, but just didn't give myself enough time to explore it. And we have the CSS animations right here. Ooh, snowflake animation. That's awesome. Ooh, something awesome I also saw today on X, and then we will focus on the animation that we should be working on. It was, let's see. This animation. Apple announced yesterday or today? It was yesterday, if I remember correctly, during the WWDC Live, which is a live event for developers about Apple stuff, specifically for developers. And they showed their new interface, their new UI that they are using. And it is called the Liquid Glass. So if you want to look into it, you can find it online. You just have to search it for a little bit. And then, of course, designers already try to recreate it, but also developers. And there was one developer that really caught my eye. It is called Mike something. I quite possibly don't pronounce your name just right. Yeah, WWCPDC CTPC SVG. And here he recreated the liquid glass effect using SVG filters. Now that's something exciting, because you don't need to use WebGL to recreate this section. I've put a link in the description, in the chat I mean. In the description there will also be a link, I guess. But this looks amazing. This is all in the web without any heavy lifting from the, what's it called, from the computer, using just plain old SVG filters. So that's something that I definitely want to dive into as well. I mean, look at this, how awesome this looks. Now, is it good for contrast? I wonder, but yeah, it does look cool now, doesn't it? Whoa, yeah, exactly. So go check out his message, and if I remember correctly, I also sent the CodePen. Here it is. So I'll put that in the chat as well, so that you can experience it live. It's always different, right? Look at that. That's just awesome. Oh, I immediately want to... can we just CodePen this? Just copy. Settings. I don't know if I'm logged in or not. Bookmark. And here we have the image, which is the data image, as we can see. And here we have the SVG filters happening. So I guess this is the image itself. Here we have a filter called frosted, object bounding. Then we have the image. I am assuming that it is the background image. Interesting. Or does this show something else? I don't want to go into that right now. And here we have all kinds of filters that are happening to this image. Look at how many things are happening. You have the source graphic, which is the graphic that's been put in. Then you add a displacement map. And no idea how this works, how you can use the channel whatsoever to make those kinds of things. Then you have a scale attribute because it needs to be bigger. And it begins when the button has mouse over. Then we have another scale attribute, which happens when the mouse is out. So there's also an effect happening. Look at that. Looks like it's moving towards us. And then we have a finished displacement map. So I'm guessing that this section right here is only the displacement map. Wow. How would you come across that kind of data? I don't know for sure, by the way. It's just my guessing. And if you want to apply this is called a defrosted filter. That you do it like this. You put in the URL and then defrost it. And here he has created the glass. So that's this button. And added the displacement map in there. I'm so very curious to explore this further at a certain point in time, but not today. I was so excited to show this because it's insane how people can do that. And if the chat doesn't work, then we have a link right now up. I leave it as is. You can pause it and then you can try and retype it. But yeah, it's it's insane what you can do with SVG. Oh, that really looks awesome. And here you have the World of SVG map. I also want to dive in. It's from 2021. How old is this? This is insane that it is supported but not used as much as I thought. But seeing these kinds of things really makes me wonder, maybe I should look into it and learn it as well. Right, let's close those. And let's focus at the task at hand. So what we want to do is start off right here. And we want to start from, so there's where we start, and this is where we end. So we want to start from, actually not much happening, right? Only a filter of blur by 20 pixels. And that's the only thing that we want to do when it's not active. And as you can see, it already reveals itself because of the 2. So it goes from 20 pixels, and at the end or at the top, it is fully visible. But just like here, we want the text to be visible earlier, and we want to do it word by word. I don't know if we can do it word by word, but let's try to make this range start and end work, and also use the different keyframes. So for different keyframes, it's very simple. You can add percentage in here as well, 50%. So let's add that one real quick, and then 100%. And as you see, nothing really game changing is happening. Let's see if we can, if I remember correctly, we can do it like this. And start from 25% and there. Yeah, as you can see, I really don't know how this works. So let's dive right in. We're going to look for the view timeline. View timeline. And I'm curious how this works. Or is it animation timeline? Limited available, view timeline, it's scroll timeline, right? That's the one that I want. It's the one that I want. Scroll. It's the scroll timeline. CSS driven animations. Yeah, it's the scroll timeline that we want to adjust. And then we have block or inline. So we want to have the block version because that's the top and the bottom. We have a square timeline. In this example, a scroll timeline named square timeline is defined using the scroll timeline name. I guess it's the... this is then applied to the animation on the square element. And it's called the animations timeline. All right. So this is then applied to this container. I guess that's how it works. But now we just want to use the view as the scroll timeline. Oh, I remember. I still have the CodePen open. If I remember correctly, with some animation that I tried. Scroll, you fools. It's always nice to see things that you've made in the past. Scroll, you fools. Section fill. Let's make 100 VH. Yeah. Just like the sticking card effect happening. It's all done with CSS. How did I do that? So here we define an animation timeline, and then you have a view function that makes sure that it is for the view. And then I set the specific position of the top and the bottom where the animation should be happening. And this is the animation name happening. So it's quite similar to what we had first. So let's add in that animation name. timeline, I mean. So now we have the animation timeline. Let's save this. And then we want the filter of 20 blur on 100% to be 0. And maybe we will already want this earlier to be 0, right? And now suddenly it doesn't work anymore. Why isn't it working? Ooh. And there it is working. Is the animation timeline on view for block 20%? And set it to 0. And then 50. Do we need to reload Edge? Because it feels like that it isn't doing things as expected. So this needs to be 20 and 50. Yeah, this still looks awesome. I tried it out before. Let's see if we can. Suddenly it doesn't work anymore. Ah, there it is. Ah, damn, it didn't save. All right, no worries. We'll just redo that, right? That's sometimes what happens when you use alpha versions. Then when you press certain things, then suddenly it stops happening. Scroll you fools. Let's make it like that again. Instead of being the hero section title. Needs to be H2. And I want this section container to be height 100 SVH. There we go. I want to display of grid and then place content center. So this makes sure that the element is 100 the minimal height of the viewport. Then we display it as a grid, and place content makes sure that the content is placed in the center, not only vertically but also horizontally. I know the good old times where you have to do that manually and you need to do that every time. It was exhausting. So let's go here. Here we have our timeline. Let's save this real quick. Let's remove this and scroll all the way down. So this one can also be a section heading. Also with an H2. And then let's go all the way to the end. Stop, you fools. That's funny. And then here we want the lorem text again. So we go back into our edge. And hopefully this time we don't forget to save. Let's hit save right away. Oh, look at that. That also looks very smooth. So I guess this is the view timeline. It's called subject reveal. And what does view timeline do? View timeline shorthand property. Progress based on the change in the visibility of an element known as the subject. Inside the scrollable element scroller view timeline is set on the subject. The visibility of the subject inside the scroller is tracked. By default, the timeline is at 0%. Subject is first visible at one edge of the scroller at 100% when it reaches the opposite edge, and 100% when it reaches opposite edge. Ah, I see. So we're making this a little bit different from what we used to, because the view timeline, this section right here at the bottom is 0, and at the top is 100%. And we set the animation to happen, to finish and to change at 50%, and to have a filter blur of 0. So that's what's actually happening right now. I can imagine if we hide the interface, we can see the whole animation happening. But it's happening to everything at once, and that's something that I don't want. I guess if we want to do that for one word at a time, we can either place everything in a span. I guess that's also what's happening here, right? If we look at the, can we have a preview version? So all the words, yeah, you see, this is done via JavaScript, I guess. It's does a explode. Actually, at least that's what it's called in what's the name? PHP land. Then you can explode every word on space. So we can do something similar right here, but then we need to add a bit of JavaScript. So that's a long time ago. I hope we can do it like this, document, and then we set query selector. Do we need to write like this? I don't know anymore. And we want this to be a constant, because I don't think it will change. Constant query selector, and safe to say that we want this to happen on every section that we are going to change. We're making this animation for, right? And now I'm thinking, I'm writing this, maybe it would be nicer to have this animation in its own class, that you can reuse that, and that you have the styling inside of another class, so that you have two classes, but one is just for the styling for the hero title, and another class for the animations happening. But that's something that we can do in the future. For now, let's focus on how we can add this. So we have a query selector, and I want to add the hero underscore title. And because we only have one, it should be fine. Now I haven't written this nice, so we can write like that, and then we write a console log. That's something that I do because I'm not that confident that this will work. So let's do it like that. So let's remove that one. Oh, by the way, if you want to have animation inspiration, this is a really awesome looking site. Hi Teet, how are you doing? I'm so unhappy that I couldn't make it for the for WordCamp EU, but quite possibly next year. Let's see how things go. Also with the neighbors of Poland, right? But else, I definitely would love to go. I was also thinking of going to the WordCamp US, but I think it's a little bit too expensive to go there. Just to travel alone. Let's see. So here we have our constant for text that we have the document, which is the whole page. Then we have a query selector selecting the hero underscore title. And I want to see what kind of text is in there. So our constant text will hopefully show that. And we pick front end. Auto draft, scroll you fools. And to see that, we can go into our console log, and as we can see, it has selected our hero title because we want to make our own separator, right? Now believe me that I don't know everything by heart, so what we then do, we can now do something with this text. Next is in Krakow, yeah, sometime next year, yeah, in June. So yeah, I'm very curious how that will go, and I would love to be there. It would be either WordCamp that I'm going to or CloudFest, because that looked awesome as well. But going to a abroad, what's it called, event, is something that I want to do more as well, because I am definitely going to the WordCamp NL to the Netherlands. Let's see. I don't know how we can separate them by space. Is that how we can wrap them? So we need to first need to separate them according to the spaces. And after that, we need to wrap them in a span tag. So luckily we have something called ChatGPT that can help us out, right? If we don't know by heart. I'm still a little bit of an old school guy that I want to Google it automatically, but why should we do that if we have this? I'm going to change real quick to my face cam. Hello people, because I don't want everybody to see my login credentials. Quite possibly you can guess, but let's not do that. And then real quick search for my login code. And there we go. I want a JavaScript code that wraps every word in a sentence in a span tag. Let's see what happens. Look at that. That's amazing. Now I don't have to write everything myself. If I can be a bit lazy, why not? And here we have an example usage. We have the sentence, which is the word, and then the wrap, and then it console logs the wrap sentence. So what we can do is just copy this function, which makes our lives a little bit easier. And then we move that one up, that one down. Here we have our text, but not our exact text. It's just the HTML element. So now I have to figure out how to do that. Here we can and then we need to replace it. All right, so I have on HTML element selected as sentence. Can you help me get text from it? Absolutely. Document core selector text content. That's what it is. So we can get the text content. Let's see. Let's close that one. And we can also do everything inside of our function. Does ChatGPT do that as well? No, it doesn't. Query selector, wrap text, inner sentence, inner HTML. Look at that. It fully makes everything that we wanted. Actually, what I wanted to build. All right, that's nice. So here we have the query selector that we have added before. Let's remove that one and call it hero_title to select what we wanted. Then we selected text with text dot text content, so it will get the text that's inside of this element. And then we wrap the text. First, we want the text that we have defined right here. So there's the text inside there to split on space. Then we want to wrap each word inside of a span. And then we can animate this. So let's add animation clause, animate text. And then in the end, we want to join everything so that this puts out the complete sentence. And then the inner HTML of the sentence that we have just made will be replaced with the wrap text that we have in here. So the inner HTML will be replacing that. And let's see what happens if we do that on the front end. I expect now there to be separate words. Look at that. Everything is now a separate word. And now we can animate the text itself. So let's see. Span clause is animate.text. So we add another clause right here that if it doesn't work, then we have the complete wrapper. It would be nice that the output of this is automatically then put in the HTML, and then we can remove this instead of every time needing to run JavaScript, right? That would be nice. Hey Bogdan, how are you doing? Nice of you to join. And thank you, by the way, for the message. I will definitely check out the new HTML element for Webstudio, but I don't know when yet, because I first want to do this because it's such a long time that I wanted to do this. Let's see. Here we have our span text. And now we can animate our span text. So we can remove the animation right here. And we can add the animation right here. But still, it looks like it's happening to all of them instead of just one. And that's because this is the class of span text. So that should be fine. And if we heading, I want this to be added to this section right here, so that we have our JavaScript for splitting the text and that sort of thing, and replacing the text with the new HTML that we have set with this CSS. And if we look right now, it's still happening all of the time instead of one of the time. Look at that, because it is pen text. And that's something that we want to change, right? Can we... let's see. Because this way we have our span animation in here, but it replaces the inner HTML. And I want the whole HTML itself being replaced. Instead of the great finally launched. Yeah, I'm very curious. I've looked quickly into it, and yeah, I don't know. I really don't know the use case of it or whatsoever. So I really need to dive deeper into it to look what the new HTML element is. For you guys who are now like, what the hell are you babbling about, rambling about, Lex? I can show you real quick, of course, because they have released it today, so it is very awesome to show. So they have introduced an element. This is smart new component, improves the UX for giving you the ability to use any HTML tag and attribute. The tag element, so it's the new HTML tag element, out of the tags is aware attributes and states, and paste any HTML from anywhere. So you can just paste in your HTML. Let's see if we can do that with the HTML that we just created right here. And you have quick access via commands. So I can share the the article, and then you guys can look into it as well if you like to. Let's go in here again. Instead of using .inner HTML, I want it to replace the element. Then we need to change the element. So what's now doing is creating a new element based on what is selected. Tag name to lowercase. And then here you have replace with new element. So it replaces this with the new element that is being created right here. And this is the new element that has been added. All right. But we only need to replace this because I don't need the wrapping element itself. So we only need the text to be in there. So let's see if we do that, if that works. Dot sentence replace with, so it's a function. So we need to change how do we wrote this with the wrapped. And there we go. So now we want the wrap text to replace what's inside the hero title. Instead of hero title, this should be an text. Let's refresh Edge because it feels like look at that, it does work. Span text, span, but it doesn't look nice. Do we also see the span text right here, or does it keep? Let's see. No, now it doesn't replace it anymore. Ah, damn it. Me wanting to do it in a nice way. Go away. Animation text replaced with wrapped, but now it's using the text content. Sentence, but it's then the inner HTML. So do we need to do it like this? Let's just find out, right? Can always Control Z. Oh damn. Let's remove that real quick. And WhatsApp. So let's get back to the matter of that at hand. So we want to have the query selector, which is on text. Then we have the sentence and the text that we want. Then we want to recreate and we want to create a new element that is within the document that has the same tag name as this one that we just selected, which is the span tag. It needs to be all in lowercase, which fine. I don't know if you need to add this because we are writing the right tags. Tag name. Then we create within the new element that we have created. We want to add a text, the split text, then add the words, and then we want this to be a class. Do we create an infinite loop for with this function like this? Then we want to create the span with the class of animate text, which contains the word, which is done here. word, but word is not defined. Word to sentence. Wait a minute, this is a different way that does right now. Map word. Word and then wrapped. That's funny. How does this work? It uses the text split, and because of the split, it maps. It notices that every section is a word, and a word needs to map from the words to the new section with the HTML element and then join it. I see. And then it replaces the original query selector with the new element. Let's see what this does. It doesn't do what we wanted. But the console log doesn't run into errors. Right, let's undo everything. Select this one again. So we were doing quite good, and then suddenly we weren't. Sometimes what happens, right? Let's close that one. Thanks for joining, and see you again, sometimes again, brother. So here we put in hero title again, .hero_title. So now it will wrap again, I hope. Yeah, now it wraps the words in the span again, even the last one. What's in there? It's nothing, it's just a space. Then we add a class of is an, what's it called? /text. But now we make it ourselves a little bit difficult because we need to select our end text. What we can do is do it inside of here, and then and .n-text, because it is a virtual DOM. It's not created directly in the HTML, so it will be added by JavaScript. And then we can do the animation. Let's see if we, I don't know by heart what the animation is, but so we can open up like the stacking card, for example. Makes my life a little bit easier. That we already have the frames working with, so we need only the animation. So let's add in the animation right here, where we have the animation name. And the animation name, instead of a card stacking, is called appear. Appear is defined of the height of the block, fill mode both, animation 1 millisecond, and the timing is linear, so instead of ease in and ease out. So now it's animated the AN text. And still making everything appear and disappear again. We do have the look at that. We have the appear animation. You can see exactly what's happening when. Oh, there's some other trickery going on with Webstudio. I am very curious how you did that. how you make them pop in one by one. I guess we need to add the a kind of a delay, because we want to pause within every section, right? So that means that we need not only to replace it, but also have an iteration to know how long the delay should be. So animation dash delay, and this should be animation delay. And if we do it like this, that means that we need to add animation delay right here as well in the style. Animation delay is 100 milliseconds. And this will make sure that everything happens one after each other, but now it's happening with 100 milliseconds of delay. So it will still happen at the same time. Milliseconds, but just a little bit later. You see? We need to use the for each, because we just split it. For each function, word is, then we create an arrow function. Do you have something similar with map? I wonder. I haven't used map at all, actually. Map iteration. Map index. Map of x, x times 2. 2, 8, all right. So we can do calculations. Do we have a way of knowing which number we are selecting actually? Key value map. It's the number. String 10. Wait, what did we want to fix? Yeah, everything is now inside of that. Delay. Scroll animation happening on the delay. Let's see if we can, perhaps we can ask ChatGPT. I mean, we're already doing that, right? We don't need to see everything. Let's see. That's the beauty of it. We don't need to research everything. Now we can just ask a friendly fellow. Mm-hmm. I now have this code, but I want the split word to come in one by one with the CSS animation. How rewrite the code to integrate that functionality. We can do index. I didn't know that. Word. So this is the word, this is the index, and then we have a delay of 100 times the index, which is 100 milliseconds per word. And we then add, I forgot to add ms. No, I did add ms. The backticks, then we the placeholders. And here we create the element. Class name. New element class name. It also tries to add in the class name, but I didn't tell it to do that, so I don't want to do that. And this one can be the same. So here we have the appear framework, we have the animation delay, we have our starting opacity, which we then need to fix. And we have the timeline linear, I need it for that. So we can just copy the JavaScript. And this one is extra because we don't want our new elements to have the extra clause. Oh, it is replacing our HTML. I never said that I want to replace it. What's going on right here? So I only need this section actually. Word and index. Oh, wait. We need the whole map functionality. So here we add the delay and then add it as a variable. So we're creating our own split text functionality. That's awesome. Then we can call this split words, and then can split words, and then add this animation dot dash text, and we can animate the en dot text. So we can call this a split words. Split words. And then it says dot split words. And inside split words, we want this animation to happen. Ooh, look at that. It did work for the first one, but bloop. We have something like it working. And something happens with the animation delay. It doesn't like that. And instead of 500, 100 and taking up 2 seconds, it's maybe a little bit tough. Could you check within the class .n dash text if animation delay is done correctly? first animation happens, and then we'll jump in. Let's see what ChatGPT says. Fixing animation delay behavior. That's fine, but the issue might be the animation time of view. View only triggers once all elements are entered, making all start at the same timeline moment. I see. Solution: use animation without animation timeline. So we can, if you're okay with the words animating on page load instead of scrolls, just drop the animation timeline in here. And this is the keyframe. And then we need to create the stagger effect right here. Keep this part unchanged, is correct. Final results. But I want it to happen on scroll. Yeah, now it will add observer, but I don't want to. If I can not do that, that will be awesome. Can we use CSS instead of the observer? Iteration 012. This is also a way you can write it. That's true. And then you can do more of the calculations within the CSS instead of JavaScript. I do like that version more. So we add an I, because then we can keep the JavaScript as is. And we need to add the delay. And instead of delay, it's index, so we can simplify this. Here we have index, and then we enter in something like that. So now the style will have iteration of index. And for our delay, we'll add in a calc of for with iteration times 5 milliseconds, and then we close. So now we can do our calculations within CSS and only rely on JavaScript to do the calculations that we really can't do with CSS itself. I mean, can't we? Or can we? I don't know. You tell me. Do you know if it's possible to do that kind of thing with an HTML? Let's see if everything's still running smoothly and working. Yes, it is. At least it looks like it. But still something happens with the delay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 26. The delay is happening. Oh, look at that. We have fixed something. That's awesome. But it is way too fast for 10 seconds. Maybe you want to start this sooner because of the delay. So let's save it like this. And it's also because of the animation duration being very fast, I guess. If we add 10 milliseconds. Look at that, it's very subtle. We can make it happen quicker. Because then we need to change with the values of the duration and also the delay. But I think the 1 millisecond delay could be fair enough. It needs to start way sooner. When we are here, it needs to start the animation. So I guess it's the bottom. Let's see how the view function actually works. Function CSS. We have block. Inset. Block 5010. It's 50 from the top, and so it's top and bottom. So we want the top to be 50% as fast as possible, and the bottom to be 10%. So it's way more below. Should be nice if there's a visualizer for it that we can see how and when the animate. Ooh, look at that! Haha! We don't need Webstudio for this. We can animate it ourselves. No, I'm kidding. I do know we need Webstudio to break down what's happening. Ooh, this is awesome. Oh, look at that, how smooth that is. So the next thing I want to change is the animation itself, because now it's not popping in. So we can go inside of a global CSS and at 50%, I wanted to the blur happening still be 20 pixels actually. It needs to be 0 at 100%. And I also want this to transform. And a scale by 1.1, just a tiny bit, maybe even lower. And then it needs to, what's happening? Why is my cursor weird? All right, something definitely is off right now. Go back, open up this one again. Thank you. Please let me change this. Something's happening. All right, let's just refresh it. Maybe it is my, have we saved it? Yes, we did now. And it doesn't want me to refresh. No better. Didn't do that. So here we have our section again. Scroll and then transform by 1.1. I never said that this is very accessible or user-friendly or whatsoever, but I think it's a school effect. Let's make it accessible next time, right? I'm already glad that we can make this work and running, and that we created something with the help of ChatGPT. I do have the knowledge on how to do this, but then I need to Google on how to do it specifically. And ChatGPT really helped out with making it a little bit faster instead of me having to search everything, because I had the idea on how to do this. So if you haven't already, please try out ChatGPT as well. It looks like it doesn't do the scale up. Isn't it in the transform? Does that need to be a little bit more apparent? Save. It doesn't look like it's scaling up. So I want this to be blurry right here. And then I want it to be jumping up and then on blur. It also doesn't change the color. I don't understand what's happening right now, actually. Because these are the keyframes for up here. This is awesome. You have some kind of timeline happening right here. The console as well. But you can see the animation actually happening. Oh, now it finally changed. This looks awesome as well. Ooh, fancy pants. But why doesn't it do my frickin' scale up? No matter. This also looks awesome, so we can ignore the scale up. Color red. And then back to black. Now it looks like it's burning in. Right, I'm done. I loved experimenting with this and see if we could make this happen. And it looks like we can. And it looks awesome. So we have created our own JavaScript for split text. We have made the animations to happen. We have made a specific class where the animation is happening, and then we said that it needs to animate the text. So, and that text will be added in here, and we've added some nice classes. I'm really happy with the results we have right now, actually, and want to experiment further, even in the future, on seeing how we can improve on this section, because there are still things happening, right? We have now wrapped everything in a span text. I don't know how this is for accessibility. Also, the animation itself, I don't know if it helps, if this is good for accessibility, and else let's see how we can improve it. But I had a lot of fun exploring this, using the animation and how to use it, ChatGPT as well, for helping out with creating this animation. And perhaps we should build a tool around this, because this could be done really quite quicker than we did, I think, actually. So we'll be looking into that in the future. But for now, that's it for today. Thank you all for watching. I hope you had a very merry time. And next week, let's look again at animations. And let's see what we'll do then. Have a nice day. And as always, keep designing. And now I have to